Live from Sydney. Adam, what is the latest on the humanitarian operation in Tonga?
Well, as you mentioned, we are finally seeing the arrival of much needed international aid and assistance to Tonga. We had a couple of planes arriving from Australia and New Zealand yesterday. Those two countries really have led the way so far in terms of the international response, largely due to their geographical position in relation to Tonga. We're expecting a Navy vessel from New Zealand to arrive into Tonga today. That's going to be carrying around 250,000 litres of water, which is desperately needed in the country at the moment. We understand that the water supply in the country has been severely hit. There was lots of volcanic ash blanketing Tonga and its islands, and therefore a lot of the water supply at the moment is undrinkable. So these supplies are urgent, also bringing shelters, temporary communication devices, and possibly equipment to get electricity up and running again as well. Obviously, Tonga has been devastated by both the volcanic eruption and the tsunami, and it's in vital need of supplies. We're also hearing that Japan is sending across planes to help out. There's been financial donations as well from both Australia and New Zealand, and they've talked about sending more money to help with the rebuilding project. And the UK is reportedly considering sending a Navy vessel to help out with the operation. Now, more information is starting to leak out about exactly what the situation is on the ground at the moment. We're hearing a couple of stories on social media of people sharing videos and pictures of the situation as they're finally starting to get phone signal after days of being cut off. And we're also hearing incredible stories, fishermen talking about how the sky just went completely black before the waves came. So we're finally starting to be able to piece together what's going on. But right now, aid agencies are saying that the most important things are to assess the damage and also to provide vital water to Tonga.
Now, Adam, as you say, Tonga has been devastated by the tsunami and the volcanic eruption, and search and rescue operations are still underway. So tell me, what kind of difficulties are being faced by rescue workers?
Well, one of the biggest issues is actually COVID-19. Tonga has remained largely COVID-free. They've only reported one official case to the World Health Organization throughout the pandemic. And the way they've done that is to just keep the borders very, very tight, controlling who comes into the country. But obviously now, military personnel, aid workers are all going to be heading for Tonga, and that does represent a risk of the virus being transmitted. And that's the last thing that the country needs right now. Obviously, suffering from this crisis, they do not need an outbreak of COVID-19. So far, to get around this, a lot of the aid drops have been contactless. The planes have been landing, dropping off supplies, and then heading off. And then officials in Tonga can come and collect those supplies. It's going to be difficult to maintain that, obviously, when aid agencies start arriving, if people need to go and perform rescue operations or to rebuild shelters, and that's going to definitely be a challenge. We saw an Australian plane turned back yesterday after one of the people on board was found to be positive for COVID-19. So the aid agencies and military personnel having to be very careful at the moment. The fact that Tonga is also so remote is also an issue. It takes about 5 days for a ship to get from Australia to visit Tonga. One set off from Brisbane today, not expected to arrive for up to 5 days. It's also a fairly decent flight as well. And with the communication issues that are going on at the moment, it's very hard to reach the island and people on the island due to the communication blackout that we've seen. Comms are starting to open up now, but the demand is huge. There was a 2G line that was put up, but obviously a lot of people are trying to contact friends and family there and vice versa, and make contact with the outside world. And also there's issues just structurally as well. We saw that the main runway in the country's airport was covered in ash, and volunteers, locals have had to basically sweep the airport, the runway, just in order so planes can land. So there's technical, logistical, and also pandemic issues related as well.
All right, Adam, such a big tragedy. Thank you very much, Adam Hancock in Sydney.